Assalamualaikum. What I'm going to perform right in front of you is the examination in a patient, where a command is given to you that you have to examine the patient for cerebellar signs. Whenever you are going to perform the examination rules are always simple, straightforward and same. 4 things at start of examination. Approach from the right side, then introduction, always taking proper consent from patient for examination, and always adequate exposure. Only exposure is not enough, adequate exposure is needed, and in certain situations where you cannot go for that adequate exposure due to ethical considerations, like one has to examine the abdomen and one has to examine the genitalia, you would be asking the examiner standing beside the patient that, sir, for that examination I need that much exposure, can I do that? And examiner will himself or herself tell you that that's very fine, just limited exposure is enough. So the message, the take home message for you guys is, never take things for granted. Don't just assume that you are supposed to do inadequate examination or limited examination, but always ask the examiner, because that way the examiner will be knowing that you know it, that this is the exposure which is desired for a certain examination. So 4 things: approach from the right side, introduction, consent, and then proper and adequate exposure. And then at the end of the examination, 2 things: always saying thanks to the patient, and finally recovering the exposed parts. So remember these 6 things. So we start here with the examination of the cerebellar system. We would be performing 7 things in arms and hand, just to memorize that cerebellar system the right way. That is the bestest way, that you memorize all these components. So 7 things we will be checking in his arms and hand. There will be 3 things we will be checking on his face, and then the rest of the examination include 2 things: one at his knees, the pendler knee jerk, and then the heel knee test. And finally we will be asking the patient at the end of the examination. He would stand for us and we will be checking for Romberg sign, and then we will be examining the walk of the patient. So there will be total 14 things. So what are the 7 different signs? First, I would like to expose the patient appropriately. मेरा नाम डॉक्टर आदिल है। थोड़ा सा आपका मैंने मायना करना है, तो उसके लिए मुझे कपड़ा आपका रगोनी से थोड़ा ऊपर करना है और यहाँ घुटनों तक करने का है। So we would be exposing the patient up to elbows here. It is not desired to expose more. There is no such need. And then what we will be doing, we will be exposing it up to the knees, because we are concerned. Actually, that should properly be exposed up to the mid of thigh to look for the contraction of muscle when we check the deep tendon reflexes. But here our major concern is to look for pendler knee jerk. So we are not concerned whether the this thigh muscle is contracting the right way when we are examining those reflexes. So first thing and the foremost thing and the most important thing is always and always, before you check the cerebellar sign and before you look for coordination, which is the most important sign, the finger nose sign, always assess the power of the patient. So you can ask the examiner, sir, to examine, to check the coordination, I need to check the power of the patient first, because if power is less than 4, you just cannot examine it the right way. Because of that lack of power, patient won't be able to perform the coordination the right way. Only those people who are having 4 plus by 5 power or 5 by 5 power, we can check, we can do the examination properly in those people. अच्छा, आपने करना क्या है? And always remember, if you educate the patient the right way, you can perform things in a real good way. ये आपने अपनी उंगली अपनी नाक पे लगानी है, बिल्कुल यहाँ पे, उसके बाद मेरी उंगली पे यहाँ पे लगानी है, ऐसे, फिर यहाँ पे लगाएंगे अपनी नाक पे, फिर ऐसे लगाएंगे। ये थोड़ा आपने जल्दी करना है। So you are supposed to tell the patient in a right way that how he is going to touch your finger, and then he is going to touch his nose. ठीक, right, सही हो गया। अब दूसरे वाले से and you just need to move your finger slightly so as to check whether patient can coordinate rightly or not. Then dysdiadochokinesia, it's a simple thing that you would be asking the patient. I would be doing it myself कि आपने quickly क्या करना है, you have to quickly do this kind of maneuver. So you have to do this thing. If patient can perform that task the right way, it means he is having normal movements, normal cerebellar. This would indicate that there is no such lesion in the cerebellum. But if a person cannot perform this task the right way, we call it dysdiadochokinesia. And remember, if some sign is missing, obviously it won't be suggesting us that cerebellum is altogether normal, because many a time there would be 2-3 signs which you will find, and many other signs will all be normal, because it all depends how bigger the lesion is. If the lesion is involving the whole one cerebellar side, floccunodular lobes as well as vermis, there would be all these signs present in a person, but many a times these lesions are partial, so you may not be able to find all these signs. The next thing is then you would be checking for tone. You would be assessing tone. In cerebellar disease, what you find that a person is having lesser tone. So tone of muscles is low. Obviously, only if you have examined a lot of patients, you would be knowing that what is the normal tone. And in comparison with that normal tone, you give that opinion that a person is having hypotonia. So a cerebellar patient would be having hypotonia. Then we would be asking the person to write down things for us, and then he will be writing it down. Parkinsonian patient, they write in very small words. Their alphabets are very small. We call it micrographia. While the cerebellar patient, they would be writing the alphabets in a way that we call it macrographia. The alphabets will be larger than expected from a normal person. Then we would be checking for another thing, intention tremor and pass pointing. These two things are checked at the same time. आपने ऐसे करना है कि ये ball point है, इसको आपने पकड़ना, ठीक है, इसको पकड़िए. So what I am seeing here, that as I'll be asking a person, say somebody is having this right-sided cerebellar disease, so as I'll be asking the person to hold that ball point, this would happen. As he would be approaching, that would be fine, but as he will come close, so there would be intention tremor and there will be pass pointing. So we call it pass pointing, and then this is intention tremor. Then what next, we'll be asking the patient to hold his arms like that. ये थोड़ा सा ऐसे करके यहाँ पे रखें और वो भी ऐसे करके रखें. Usually we'll ask it in sitting position. It's not desired to be like asking the thing in that position. And remember, it's very important that your face should not be here. Your face should be away, because as the patient will be doing this thing, and if he is having problem, there is some problem, rebound phenomena is there. Patient won't be able to stop his limb. The limb will overshoot. So either the patient can hit himself or can hit you. So you should be cautious while performing this thing. So ऐसे रखिएगा जरा दोबारा से. तो यहाँ पे मैं I'll press here. इसको आपने नीचे नहीं जाने देना. So I'll press here and I'll ask the patient, don't let it go down, and then I'll stop it all of a sudden and see. Immediately he was able to stop his limb because his cerebellum is working well. In those situations where it's not working well, this limb will overshoot. That won't be, he won't be able to stop his limb. Then after doing all these things in hands and arm, we move ahead. We move to the face of the patient, and I would like you to sit. थोड़ा सा बैठेंगे आप? बस ऐसे उसी साइड ऐसे ऐसे ऊपर ही यहाँ ठीक. So अब हमने क्या देखना है, थोड़ा सा ऐसे कर लीजिएगा इधर को चेहरा. So at his face, the first thing we'll be observing, we'll be looking for titubations. So titubation is kind of head nodding movements. The next thing is, from head downward we'll come to the eyes. In eyes, we'll check for nystagmus, and always perform nystagmus the right way. Keep your finger at a certain distance and never move your finger more than 30 degrees beyond the eyes, because if you go more than 30 degrees beyond the eyes, there can be natural nystagmus in a certain person. So how I would be telling him, ये आपने क्या करना है, मेरी उंगली को देखना है, अपनी आंखें घुमानी है, अपना सर नहीं हिलाना. So always let the patient know that you have to move your eyes, but just don't move your head. You can keep an arm on the head of the person, and if patient is educated enough, you have guided in the right way, he won't do that himself. So आपने सिर्फ आंखें घुमानी है, अपना सर नहीं हिलाना. Up to 30 degree, see here, and then see here. Wait for 5 seconds. Keep looking for nystagmus. In the setting of cerebral disease, we find horizontal nystagmus. There are two components of nystagmus. One is this fast component, one is slow component, and it's not necessarily always the horizontal nystagmus, but we can have different other type of nystagmus in cerebral disease as well. But here, as we see this horizontal nystagmus, we actually want to differentiate it from peripheral vertigo-Tians. So our major and prime focus is on that horizontal nystagmus. So we check that nystagmus that way. Then we move down and we ask the patient to perform heel, shin, knee test. This is another test of coordination. Like we check this coordination with finger nose in upper limbs and with heel, shin, knee at lower limbs. Again, you need to educate the patient the right way. आपने ऐसे करना है, ये अपने पाँव की एड़ी आपने बिल्कुल यहाँ घुटने पे लगानी है, फिर ऐसे ऊपर ऊपर लेके जानी है, फिर नीचे रखनी है, फिर ऐसे तेज से यहाँ ऊपर ले जानी है और फिर ऐसे करना है. तो जल्दी से ऐसे कीजिए, ठीक है, सीधा लेके जाए, नीचे रखें, फिर ऊपर लेके आए, ऐसे करें. आप दूसरी बारी से करें, ऐसे बिल्कुल घुटने की जगह पे, फिर लेके जाए नीचे, नीचे रखें, फिर दोबारा लेके आए. So what you are supposed to do, you are supposed to guide the patient the right way, that place the heel of your knee on your heel of your foot on your knee, then slide it down and then place it back on whatever place he is lying down, and then again do the same maneuver at least 2 times. And what can happen if a person is having that cerebral disease, as he would be moving it, it would be going like that, it would be going like that. This is what we call swaying of limbs. The limbs keep on swaying, and that way we learn that a person is having this cerebral disease. इस साइड पे बैठ जाए, ऐसे टांगे लटका के, इस तरफ को ना ऐसे बैठ जाए. चलिए, थोड़ा सा ऐसे बस करें, ठीक हो गया. So a patient is sitting here with his legs dangling besides the bed. So what we do here, whenever we are going to examine a person and we have to check his reflexes, always palpate the tendon first and then strike. So we'll be palpating the tendon first and we'll be striking, and then we'll be looking for that movement. So in a normal person, he won't be moving his limbs more than 3 times. If a person is having kind of movement in his limbs, it just keeps on moving like that more than 3 times, this indicates the pendular knee jerk. So we need to perform it on both limbs. ठीक हो गया, थैंक यू. अब आपने क्या करना है जी, आपने खड़े होना है यहाँ पे, ऐसे खड़े हो जाइए, ठीक हो गया, सही. So what we'll be doing here, we'll be examining the patient for Romberg sign. A person who is a case of cerebral disease patient, if he is having the cerebral problem, he would be having tendency to fall on one side if the problem is in the flocconodular lobe. Say if he is having lesion in the right side cerebellum, right-sided flocconodular lobes, he would be having tendency to fall on that side. We will be asking the patient to stand for us, and before that, definitely we should be very close, in close proximity to the patient, that if he is having that tendency to fall, we should immediately help out the patient. We do this sign to check the difference between sensory ataxia and cerebral ataxia. The people with sensory ataxia, as they close their eyes, they would be having tendency to fall. They would fall. But the cerebral disease patient, whether their eyes are open or whether their eyes are closed, they would be having the tendency to fall on one side. So, आंखें बंद कीजिएगा. So he is closing his eyes, आंखें खोल लें, and then the foot should be approximate. So when a patient is sitting, his foot should be approximate. And finally, thank you. And finally, the last thing is, we'll be asking the patient to walk. It is what we call the tandem walk. The tandem walk is kind of a walk where a foot is placed that way, that we will be placing a foot like that, again that way, again that way, again that way. A patient just keep on moving a scissor-like gait or tandem walk. So if we'll be asking the patient to walk that way, what will happen? He won't be able to do that. Rather, he would be walking with a wide base gait. So this is the gait particular for cerebellar disease. Thank you very much.